Have you ever told somebody you do jiu-jitsu and the other person is just like, oh, and you're like, no. Well, in today's episode, I get to sit down with Amber Cooke, one of my first students ever in jiu-jitsu, one that I can say was my student specifically. And she is really unique because not only is she doing jiu-jitsu, but she also holds a black belt in Taekwondo, something that has a lot more rather than the grappling that jiu-jitsu has. In this podcast episode of Resenha, we get to talk about where Amber came from in her martial arts career, how Taekwondo is different than jiu-jitsu, her thoughts on being a coach in the kids class and the women's class, and just her journey in general through jiu-jitsu and how it's helped her. This is an episode I'm so thrilled to get to share with you all. So let's sit back, relax, and jump into the episode. Well, thank you, Amber, for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking me.
When did you first start jiu-jitsu, and what was your first class like?
I started in April, I think it was actually May of 2024. And my niece started first. I say we, that's my brother and my sister-in-law and my niece. We're looking for something for my niece to do. She was pretty young, and she was a little too young to do karate or other martial arts that my brother and I have practiced before. And we found Gracie, my sister-in-law is Brazilian, and so this seemed like an excellent choice, an excellent option, and you guys allowed young kids. So we signed her up, she loved it, and then at the time you were having a promotion where like a family of 4 could do so many classes at a certain dollar amount per month, and we were like, say less. My brother is still practicing karate, and so he was like, you know, I could try this out, see how this is different, how it's the same. I had practiced Taekwondo when I was younger and competed, and so I was like, I haven't worked out in a really long time. I should probably do that. The other thing was you had a women's class, and that really sealed the deal for me to try it because I wanted to get back into some kind of exercise. I was interested in getting back into martial arts, and I really liked the idea that it would be a women-only space just because it is a high-contact sport. It is my toe dipping back in as an adult, and I knew enough to know that I didn't know enough, and it made me a little nervous to jump on a mat with a bunch of people that I don't know. And the women's class was much smaller and seemed safer for me.
And was it safer?
Yeah. It was, I think my first class, it was just me, Karina, Madison, who was like 12 at the time, and your mom. And yeah, it was awesome to get back into a gi and to feel some level of familiarity and comfort in that. But it was also still daunting because I didn't know anything about jiu-jitsu. Mm-hmm. So yeah, just kind of stepping on, and there were the duality of a little bit of comfort and a little bit of discomfort, I think put me in a good headspace to have an open mind and learn and accept. Yeah, and I never looked back.
Good, I'm very glad. I'm very glad.
Yeah.
When you were younger is when you started doing Taekwondo. Mm-hmm. Why did you do Taekwondo? How long did you do it? And what did you learn out of it?
My parents put me in Taekwondo. I was probably a little older than CC was, so I was probably like 7 or 8 because I was a wild child. Could not be told what to do. My mom tells stories of me like running around catwalks in theaters because my sisters were ballerinas and getting lost in theme parks and things like that. I just would run off and do my own thing. And so they were really looking for something that would provide discipline and structure in a way that ballet wasn't doing for me, gymnastics wasn't doing for me, kiddie soccer and stuff like that was not doing it. And so they decided to try Taekwondo. It happened to be in the same building as where my sisters danced, like 7 hours a day. And we were already running the halls. So she actually happened to find it looking for me. And they accepted younger kids. It was in a totally separate room. Parents were allowed to be in the room, but they weren't allowed to talk. They weren't allowed to like engage with their kids at all. To this day, I fear Mrs. Bailey. But yeah, it provided the structure and the discipline that I needed. And I think that it helped me in a time when nothing else was helping for my parents, but also for myself later in life. When things were crazy, that was something that I could go to, and it was steady. I did it from the time I was about 7 or 8, and then I did stop when I was, I think, 12 or 13 for family reasons. And then in high school, one of the things you have to do to graduate is do a senior project, and you dedicate a year to whatever that project is. And I decided to go back to Taekwondo and try to get my black belt. And I did it. I graduated. I got my black belt. And I stuck at it for another couple of years and then just found other things that kind of opened up my horizons even more. And then life happened, and yeah, then I came back to it 2 years ago, and here we are.
What would you say to somebody who has no idea what Taekwondo is or Jiu Jitsu? What are the differences, like main differences? And then as a practitioner, what are some similarities that you've had, but differences that you've realized make Jiu Jitsu unique from Taekwondo?
I'd say the biggest differences I've noticed is that Taekwondo and karate, they're about creating space between team members, combatants, partners, what have you. It's about creating space so that you can land things. And in Jiu Jitsu, it's about closing space and using techniques to pressure or submit. So that's the biggest thing that I have noticed. And Jared and I have talked about it a lot, where his instincts from 20, 30 years of doing space creating martial arts are hard to let go of when he's in jiu-jitsu, because his instinct, my instinct in the beginning was to step back so that I can kick or so that I can punch or so whatever. And here they're like, where are you going? Come back. The fight is here.
Yes, yeah.
So there is, if you're somebody that doesn't know anything about martial arts, you won't have that in the back of your mind if you start with jiu-jitsu to battle against. So that will be to your advantage. If you don't know anything about martial arts and you start with jiu-jitsu, I think, at least as a woman, your hesitation or your discomfort might be with the closeness, because these are people you don't know that you are saying, come close, like I'm going to hold you like this or with my legs or whatever the case is. And so I think that can create some like, that's very touchy. Other people, not so much. Differences, similarities. I would say the discipline, the structure, the respect. All martial arts across the board are about teaching respect and humility and integrity and love and acceptance. But that's like just universal across every martial arts I've come across. Is this is a place where you're not going to posture your way into or out of things. You can't be a bully. Like, you have to show respect or you won't receive respect. Like, those are values that I hold as well. I don't believe that respect is just given. I think it's earned. That being said, the second I met you and Marcus, it was like there was the respect there, because part of it is understanding what you guys have done to get to where you are in jiu-jitsu without knowing anything about your personal lives. So there's already a respect built in there, but then you continue to earning respect through your words, actions, practices, what you've done in the school, how you speak to people, how you treat people, things like that.
You did gymnastics and dance and things before, and those are sports where you have somebody, a coach or a teacher, someone telling you what to do, and you're doing the things a bit more individual. But then jiu-jitsu, I mean, look, it's like the same structure. You have a class and you have somebody overhead. Why is it different in a martial art that you're learning all of these different things, but in something else like gymnastics or dance, you're not learning those things?
I think you're just learning differently. In my experience, martial arts has been about group learning because it's not just technique and moves. It's about creating a team space and a community. And in my experience, ballet and gymnastics, you had a team, but you were still in competition with your team, because there can only be so many places for gymnasts and dancers to be at the top. Like, the team doesn't go to the top. There's one principal dancer or there's one gold medalist, right? So I think that's how I found that it differed, and I think that's what I didn't like. I am competitive, and I think I'm competitive in a healthy way, but I'm uncomfortable with the level of competition where you're putting other people down or hoping
they
bad
break
things.
something.
Yeah, like not even hoping, but wishing it was you instead, and kind of having that reinforced externally from a coach or from a parent or whatever the case may be. I don't like that, and I think that's why it didn't click for me.
So fast forwarding to 2024, you did your first class. What was that like?
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. The girl I mentioned earlier, Madison, was not even a teenager yet, and she really kicked my butt. Like, really kicked my butt. I stepped onto the mat and I'm like, okay, I'm going to give this my all. Everything that she tells us to do, I'm going to give it 100%. And by the end of class, my legs and arms were jelly and like shaking. I legitimately sat in the dressing room and was like, I think I need to sit for a couple minutes. I don't know if I can drive right now. Like, I need some water. Like I said, I hadn't worked out in a really long time, and I was like, okay, so getting older is no joke. Exercise does get a lot harder when you don't do it all the time. And I can't be beat up by kids. Like, I can't be a grown woman with this many years of martial arts under my belt.
And a black belt.
And a black belt, and get beat up by a 12-year-old. Like, it's not acceptable. If a kid can beat me up, who's to say who else can beat me up if they really wanted to? So that's kind of my level of competition. Like, this can't happen. So I have to go back. I have to keep going, because that's a problem for me. So yeah, that's kind of what drove me to come back, was getting my butt kicked by a child. But also rolling with mom was a lot of fun. I don't get to see her as much anymore, but for those first, I don't know, year maybe, seeing mom every class, I was going like 3 times a week then, and well, still am. Rolling with the upper belts and being taught, it's very daunting when you come into martial arts that you don't know anything about, or you just haven't been there for a while in a new gym with new people. The only thing you know is how to tie a belt, and you don't know what anything is. So having somebody there that is, they don't even need to be an upper belt, but somebody who's been there for a while, taking the time to teach you things is incredibly helpful. And it makes you feel supported, and it makes you want to come back, so that, because you know you have at least one person here who will take the time to tell you what's happening. So yeah, that was what my first class was like.
And then what was the rest of you're still on your journey, but up until today, what's been your journey like? What has your journey been like?
This has been kind of one of my like core constants for the last 2 years. 2 and change. When I came to Spokane, it was after a really, really tough time personally. I had moved away from home and lived in California for a couple of years, and that was, I can't say I regret having gone, because it did escalate me up the corporate ladder in my career path. It was something that I think I needed to do. I needed to see what it was like not living in Washington, but also not surrounded by my family. Like, I was literally living one street over from my sister and her family at the time, and now I live with my brother, so I guess I reverted a bit, but I think it's something I needed to do. So I can't say I regret it, but it did take a toll, and I had to get out fast. And when I got here, I didn't have anything. I didn't have a job. I had a place to live, but it wasn't mine. The only thing I owned was my car, and I was struggling. And so when we found this kind of became something that gave me a reason to get up and go. And it took a long time to find any job at all. It wasn't a job that I necessarily dreamed about, but it was a job. And it was a job that would work around this. Like, I could still be flexible. So this has been something that was a guiding light in some ways. It was just something that's always here. It has a time and a place where I need to be and that I can commit to. And it's got people that I like and people who have an understanding of some little piece of my life. And so, yeah, that's kind of what my journey has been up to this point. We talk about it all the time in class. It's the hills and valleys. Like, sometimes I feel like, yeah, I'm kicking butt, like I'm doing great. And other times I'm like, I'm spending a lot of time on my back right now. Or I'm spending a lot of time getting squished. I don't feel very strong. Like, I need to lift weights more, things like that. But I keep coming back. I've told you before, I don't always feel like coming, but I never regret coming. I never leave and think, ugh, that wasn't worth it. I wish I was watching my show. So the only time I really don't come is if I'm sick or I have some scheduling thing that I can't move. I'm proud of that because there are any number of things that it's easy, especially at the end of the day, to be like, I don't really want to, but this isn't one of them.
Good. Good. One of the things you didn't mention, though, is you help me out Tuesdays, Thursdays.
I help you out Tuesdays, Thursdays with the kids class. I do. That was actually born because I didn't realize how hard it is when you have a kid in a class to keep your mouth shut. It is really hard. I remember being in Taekwondo, and I remember the parents being silent, and the most you would get was like the mom look. We were also punished with knuckle push-ups if we misbehaved. So, like, there was incentive not to misbehave. And so, but when I was the adult sitting on the sidelines watching a kid in my family, like, either not putting in the effort or getting scared or just, you're like, get your arm out. Big oopas, you know? It's really hard to be quiet, even when you know you're supposed to be quiet. And you had these huge classes.
Which, by the way, huge back then was like 6 people.
It was like 6, yeah. You're like, oh, it's so many kids. Yeah, and so I think I just asked, like, do you require it to be upper belts helping out in class, or like, is it okay, can we help you out? And you're like, yeah, come on up. Please do. Come here. Put your gi on, you can do it now. And yeah, it just became part of our routine. And yeah, it's always really fun, like getting to know the kids, seeing how different kids grow in different ways. Like, some are very technical, some are really quick at picking things up and then moving forward. Some people are really great helpers and partners. You're seeing their little personalities be formed. So you're seeing like what they've learned at home and at school, and then what they're learning here, and you're seeing a little person be formed from the time that they come into your class when they're like 5 to when they leave when they're 7. And then they go into professor's class, and you don't see them like in your class anymore, but you still see them. And it's fun to watch. And they're always funny. They always crack me up. They say the wildest things.
They're so crazy. I was one of our students. We were gone on Monday. We were coming back from a tournament. I was wearing a dress, but a sweatshirt, old sweatshirt over top of the dress. This kid came in for the homeschool class. He looks at me. He's like, "You look great." I was like, okay. But then when he starts reprimanding me for not being in class, he's like, you need to be in class. Why were you not in class? Because you need to be teaching the class. Because
slacking.
I don't understand some of the techniques, and some of the coaches didn't really know what they were doing. And I was like, what are you talking about? It's like, all of the coaches know what they're doing. I don't, maybe you just, but okay. I'm glad you're concerned. I'm not going anywhere. But they're so funny. Or some of them, when giving the high fives, will go bam with the back of the hand too.
Yeah. Punch for knuckles. Bam.
And you're just like, ah.
All right. All right.
What's been your favorite part of being a coach?
Kids or women? With the kids, I'd say it's hard to say. Like, I really just enjoy watching them be engaged and seeing them lock in, watch, and absorb. And obviously, when you're kids, it's hard to sit still, it's hard to pay attention. During the school year, they've been to school that day, and so they're kind of fried. If it's summertime, sometimes they have summer camps and things like that. It can be hard for them to pay attention. So when kids come to class, and I can see them lock in and listen and then implement, I really enjoy that because I understand how hard it can be for them. And every kid has a bad day, every kid has good days. That's something that I really enjoy seeing as a coach. With the women's class, I think I just like being with those women. It doesn't feel like a coach-student situation, probably because I'm still a student. And there's a level of comfort and a lack of self-consciousness because these women have also kicked my butt. I've kicked theirs. We're still friends. It's all good. And so I'm not teaching them anything really new. I'm just teaching it my way. So I don't think on the other side of that there's any like, she doesn't know what she's doing, or why should I listen to her? Yeah. So I think that's what I like about coaching the women's class.
And our women's class, why is it unique?
I think part of it is there isn't a whole lot of turnover. Like, not every woman comes to every single class, so we don't have 12 or 16 people in every single class, but every woman comes consistently in their own way. So we all know each other, we see each other in passing, but we also connect in the chat. We are talking probably every day in that chat, and we're talking about things that aren't just about class in jiu-jitsu. We're talking about our kids, we're talking about weekend plans, we're talking about having the flu, and we talk about deworming and animals,
making
people,
stickers out of people's
faces, and
the
making
worst
hats,
picture faces,
and patches, designing patches, all sorts of stuff. So I think because it's become like a friend level of community, that when we come to the mats, there's already that friend level of intimacy between all of us. So I think it could be scary for somebody coming into that to feel like maybe they're on the outside, but we bring people in very quickly. So yeah, I think that's something that's unique.
What are some of the lessons you've learned by teaching, both for kids and for the women? Is there any difference between what you've learned teaching with the kids versus what you've learned teaching with the women, or is it all same?
I've learned the kids can smell fear.
Explain.
I've been an assistant instructor for 2 years, but I only have coached the kids myself twice, I think. Because I'm familiar, they know that I have some level of authority, but because I'm not you, they know that there's some boundaries that they can push. So if you show any fear, or if you show any weakness, they're gonna sense it. Kids are smart. They know.
They're so smart.
And so unless you are very clear from the very beginning, this is my expectation, this is going to be the consequence, let's go, they're going to find boundaries to push. So I've always felt that I'm a very patient person. I've learned that I need to practice more patience, and that every kid is different and every kid has different needs. And I need to remember that, you know, they're not my kid. So I can't do with other people's children what I might do with the kids in my family. I can't speak to them a certain way, or I can't give them a consequence. It
Other
has
than
to be
burpees.
Yeah, except burpee. Yeah, it's learning. I guess I've learned more about boundaries for my own self as a coach and as a person with a class in a professional setting and with other people's kids. With the women, I've learned less of that.
They're not there trying to poke at your buttons, they're trying to run class for you.
Yeah, exactly. They ask great questions. They accept and they know that I don't know all of the answers. I'm still a baby blue belt.
Baby blue belt, but with one stripe, so less of a baby.
1 degree blue belt. They've been to, it feels sometimes like they've been to just as many classes as I have. So, but I think I've learned a level of self-assurance and self-confidence in myself and my ability to teach others and to lead others that I hadn't had in a while. So, kind of giving something back.
When you got your job, touching back on something you said earlier, you mentioned that it allowed you some flexibility so you could keep doing this. Was that something you negotiated with them or something?
Kinda,
Really?
yeah. I had been job hunting for anything, not even just in my chosen field, but in anything for over a year, probably closer to 18 months. And so when I got that job, or even when I was interviewing for it, I was like, hey, this is what I'm doing right now to make ends meet. This thing is something I would like to continue doing. So is it possible that I could just work these hours on these 3 days, and I'll give you any part of my day for the other 4 days a week, like any other part. But for these 3 days, can I just not work these hours? And they're like, yeah, sure, no problem. So that was not a problem at all. With my current job, they also didn't have a problem with it. I just manage my own time. So I work for a law firm, so if I'm going to be in early, I say, hey, I'm online. If you need anything, I'm going to be off early today. So it's still not a problem. They treat me like an adult, which is great. Yeah, it's just different. But yes, there were instances where, you know, I would interview and they'd be like, no, we have hard hours. Like, we need you to be in office. Fine, that's not a problem. But we need you to be in office from 9 to 6. So not only would I not be able to help teach, I would be struggling to come to class. And it would be hard because it's like, if this is a job I'm offered, I can't just say no because it's a job, it's an income. But it's not going to be easy to say yes because this is something I really want to keep doing. So then it's, do I try to figure out other times I can go? Does that mean I go to the 6 a.m. class? Not my favorite idea. No, nothing against 6 a.m. attenders, just I'm not a morning person. And so I would prefer to sleep. Fair enough.
Yeah, I remember you texted me a while back, a few months ago. You sent me a picture of your interview outfit, and you were like, do I look like I would be hireable to you or something? And you were in Seattle, and I was like,
why are you in Seattle?
No, I would not hire you if I was in Seattle because you're not allowed to leave.
Got it. I'll just turn around and come back.
Yeah. And then you were just like, no, it's an online, it's like a remote. I was like, okay, then yes, I would hire you. Yeah. So I was just like, and my other helpers are great, but the Tuesday, Thursdays are awesome because you've been helping me for 2 years and it's, you know how classes run and how things go smoothly. Jamie's great and he's like a star. He's my left-hand man, you're my right-hand woman. And I think your personality fits the 5 and 6 year old class a lot better than it would any of the other classes. And it's been such a blessing having you as one of my coaches, and I'm just like there dreading Tuesdays and Thursdays when I know you're not going to be there. Like you went to Brazil for 3
a month,
weeks.
yeah.
I was just like, why did she do this to me?
Because I had to go to the beach.
We have a beach here in Coeur d'Alene.
It's not the same.
There's the coast is 5 hours away.
It's a coast. It's not a beach. There's a rocky shore. It is not sand.
That's fair. That's fair. And California is a little far.
California is a little far, and the water's not as warm as in Brazil.
That's true. And you don't get as much juice. So there's that.
At the beach in Brazil, they bring the food and drinks to you.
Oh my goodness.
Which is the way to go.
I'm very glad you came back from Brazil.
It was close.
Yes, it's been great having you in class and you are my, like Bernadette, I technically promoted to the blue belt first, but she wasn't she started before we had our women's class, but you and Karina I think you were actually my first sign-ups that started coming to the women's class that signed up because of the women's class. So you're my first student I actually promoted from white belt all the way to blue belt. So I'm like, you can't ever leave now.
No, you're locked.
Not allowed. Not allowed.
We're locking the doors now.
No matter what might happen, you're on your first podcast with me. It's over. You're not allowed to.
I'm on the website.
Go. You are on the website. You're a coach. We give you things. You get to yell at kids sometimes, which you've never yelled at any kid.
Not actually
yelled, but
I'll give him like the mom look.
The stern. Is that what we're supposed to be doing? No. And anyways, but it's awesome having you here. And
Thank you.
I'm very
like being
blessed.
here.
I'm glad. I'm glad you're just not like, I hate coming.
No, definitely not. If I hated coming, I wouldn't come. And
That's true. That's fair.
That's just the. Yeah, it took a while to get here, but I finally reached the point in my life where if it's not serving me in some way, if it's not enriching my life or making it better in some way, I'm not going to put into it. I'm not going to commit. I'm not going to give it my energy. I just find something else.
That's fair. I hope Jiu Jitsu continues to give you energy.
I'm sure it will.
So this is a question I like to ask everybody at the end of every podcast, just our bow tie closer question. But what is one lesson specifically from the mats that you've learned?
I'd say it's a lesson that I've heard before, but not necessarily learned or like absorbed, and that's that losing is learning, struggling is part of learning. Forever, I've always preferred not to struggle like at all, but definitely not while people are watching. That's one of the reasons that I didn't want to go to the co-ed class was I don't want people to see me struggle. I'd say even just very recently, I've been accepting more that losing is learning and struggling is part of learning, and that it's okay. I don't need to be tapping out all the white belts. I don't need to be trying to tap out brown belts. All I need to be doing is learning the technique and trying to use it and trying to remember it while also trying to remember to breathe while I'm grappling and not give my arm away or give a leg to somebody or get stuck in a certain position where I can't get out. But even if I can't get out, that's okay. I'm not in a life and death situation here. And I can take the time to try to get out. Think about what techniques do I know. I know that eventually I'll get to a place where I don't need to think about that so much, that it'll be muscle memory, it'll be intuitive. I'm not there yet, but that's part of struggling to get there. It can be demoralizing. It can demotivate you. But that's what I'm saying, like I'm beginning to really accept that even though I feel like I suck, sucking is part of growing.
Thank you again, Amber, so much for joining us today. And
Thank you.
One of the things that Amber said when we were talking was how Taekwondo and other martial arts, you're trying to create space, and Jiu Jitsu, you're trying to take away space. I thought that was so interesting, especially since whenever I've had to tell somebody what the difference is between jiu-jitsu or karate or taekwondo or kung fu or any of those other martial arts, I usually say that those ones are more stand-up and jiu-jitsu is more ground game. But what Amber said completely radicalized my thoughts on jiu-jitsu versus taekwondo or jiu-jitsu versus karate or jiu-jitsu versus kung fu. So I am so glad we got to talk to Amber. So number one, we could share her story with you all, but also number two, she could revolutionize how you can define the difference between jiu-jitsu and another martial arts that's, again, more stand-up, space creating. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss another episode of Resenha. We release every other Friday at 10 a.m. If you found something interesting and you want to comment on it, start a discussion, ask questions, leave a comment down below. We always look through all of our comments and we'll reply to them if you have any questions. And if you have a thought on another episode of Resenha or something you want to talk about or see talked about, let us know in the comments and we'll make sure to get something up going for you. Until next time, we'll see you on the mats.